on the feed, Celebrity Avengers assemble.
Right now they're writing the story for us. We need to write the story for ourselves.
Jay-Z pulls bigger names than the UEFA Champions League. We know that. But is his streaming service a dud? Plus, he has not even started the job yet and he's already in trouble. Trevor Noah, the new Daily Show host, in hot water over tweets.
He's like, so you're a comedian? So yeah, he's like, you don't look funny.
And a not-so-alternative school with an alternative take on education.
We're taking quite an innovative approach to looking at young people's well-being.
Everything you need to know about the world, plus a whole lot more. The feed starts now. Hello, live from the SBS studios across the nation and streaming online at sbs.com.au/the feed, because TV is dead as we know it. Netflix is in Oz and everyone streams now, right? I don't know. My name is Jeanette Francis. Obviously, Mark Fennell is off again tonight. And this is the feed, though, for April the 1st. Yes, it is April Fool's and we have endeavoured not to be caught out by any hoax stories today. Of course, we're not infallible. On the contrary, we're pretty dumb over here. So if you think that we have been duped, do let us know on the hashtag #TheFeedSBS. But don't get too cocky, because this is going to go both ways. Okay, we have one April Fool's prank in the show tonight. If you think that you know what it is, use the hashtag to let us know. But first, and we thoroughly hope this is not an April Fool's joke of any kind, but footage has surfaced that purportedly shows chaotic scenes inside the cabin of the Germanwings airliner moments before it crashed. Now, there is some controversy over the veracity of the footage. So far, two European media outlets, French magazine Paris Match and the German daily Bild, say its authenticity is unquestionable. It was allegedly found on a memory card recovered from the crash site, and it reportedly lasts just a few seconds and shows passengers were aware their plane was about to crash. German pilot Andreas Lubitz deliberately crashed the plane into the French Alps, instantly killing all 150 people on board. Onto something a little lighter now. Carbon emissions. They're light, right? I don't know. Science. Our PM, though, is weighing in on the climate debate, which is really more a scientifically backed statement than a debate, really, by promising that Australia will join the next global climate pact. Don't lie to me. Tony Abbott has been called some bad names over his climate change record, but his office announced earlier this week that Australia will sign the next major international climate accord.
I'm sorry, this is just coming as quite a shock to me, sir.
The UN Climate Change Conference will be held in Paris in early December and aims to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate change.
We got a team of monkeys working around the clock on this.
This is a marked change for a government whose attitude to any kind of international political accord has been, well, basically this. You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. In fairness, they aren't the boss of him. We are. So it's probably a little bit our fault. Speaking of being at fault, though, Jeremy Clarkson. Just when you thought that a celebrity's bad behaviour might actually have some serious ramifications, rest assured, friends, nah. A series of live events featuring the sacked Top Gear presenter will go ahead, except it won't be called Top Gear.
The show must go on.
The extent of the changes to the show aren't known yet, but the Australian shows have been moved to smaller indoor venues, and it's unlikely that they'll be able to use any of the clips from the show, leading to the concern that a live incarnation of a motoring show might be a little light on card.
Gears are engaged.
Congratulations, Gears!
Put your hand out. Why? You're being very silly.
You know what they'll need, though, to pull off this concept? A shit-hot producer. And boy, good luck to him.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
And next, Universal Pictures has announced that the highly successful Fast and Furious franchise will have at least 3 more films. It's not exactly surprising, since the franchise has brought in over $2 billion at the box office. What is surprising, though, is that recently deceased star Paul Walker will appear in all of them. Thankfully, they're not puppeteering his corpse weekend at Bernie's style. It's all happening through movie magic. When Walker died during filming of Fast and Furious 7, his scenes were finished using digital manipulation and his 2 brothers as stand-ins. The Walker family, though, has refused to be part of any further film, so now it's all down to CGI. Walker isn't the first star to live on in digital form, though, with Brandon Lee's role in The Crow completely digital, and Jackie, played by Buttons in the seminal 70s TV series Me and the Chip. Brian O'Connor, Walker's character, will finally be laid to rest in the 10th and final film, tentatively titled at this point Fast and Furious Still Walking. And April Fools for Glenn Lazarus and Jackie Lambie. They're being sued by the Palmer United Party. Look, it's no secret that Clive Palmer spent a lot of money in the last federal election, especially to get Senators Lazarus and Lambie elected. Now, though, much like his dinosaur theme park, Clive's been abandoned. Well, he wants that money back. The pup is suing Lazarus for the $7 million it spent to get him elected in Queensland and the $2 million it spent on Lambie in Tasmania. How quickly things change. Yesterday we were praising Trevor Noah, the soon-to-be new host of The Daily Show, and today we've got out the tar and feathers. The man's in trouble for some old tweets, but, really, should we just toss him a bone? Yesterday, comedy fans the world over rejoiced. There's a new host for The Daily Show, and he's not white or American. Yay! Yes, for once, there's some much-needed diversity in late-night comedy.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Finally have more versions of iOS than Police Academy movies.
Just wait until Indiana finds out all those players shower together.
Yeah, I don't deserve it. Yeah, the show's not that good.
Were those all the same guy? Is it him?
Jan, we've been working together for 2 years.
All you white people look the same. South African Trevor Noah has officially got the most respected job in comedy.
In fact, my friends warned me. They were like, Trevor, don't go to the US. You'll catch Ebola. And I was like, you know what, guys? Just because they had a few cases of Ebola doesn't mean we should cut off travel there. That would be ignorant, right?
Except now everybody hates him because the internet. Back in the day when someone got a high-profile job, their past stayed hidden. But now we have Twitter, and it's forever. Basically, some social crusader went back and read through all Trevor Noah's 8,836 tweets and found the 6 worst ones.
Almost bumped the Jewish kid crossing the road. He didn't look before crossing, but I still would have felt so bad in my German car.
Okay, not a great joke, but also not that offensive.
South Africans know how to recycle like Israel knows how to be peaceful.
Again, not great, but 73% of South Africans don't recycle. And Israel, we're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh yeah, the weekend. People are going to get drunk and think that I'm sexy. Fat chicks everywhere.
The fuck, dude? I liked you yesterday. I like him already.
Behind every successful rap billionaire is a double as rich Jewish man. Hashtag Beats by Dreidel.
And that's wordplay though. Dreidel. I like it. Let's face it, some of those jokes have a little something and some of them are just plain rubbish. Either way, it sent Twitter into overdrive.
Trevor Noah's funny.
All your past Now the future host has been labelled racist against white people, which is weird because he's kind of part white, anti-Semitic, even though his mum's Jewish, and finally sexist. That one's fair enough. Thanks to social media, the days of comedians hiding away in dark rooms and yelling jokes into obscurity are gone.
Don't know about you guys, but I like my Jews like I like my cordial. Concentrated. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said that. Please don't tweet this. No. I love Jews.
Comedy Central and Jon Stewart, however, still have faith in Noah taking over the mantle, with Stewart saying,
I was where Noah was when I took over the show. Nobody knew me. I was just starting out, finding my voice, and that's when I was handed this seat.
Let's just hope Noah's voice has a few less fat girl jokes, eh? Oh, Trev. All right, you guessed it, April Fool's Paul Walker will not be in the next 3 Fast and the Furious films. That was a joke because, you know, it would be in terrible, terrible taste. Time for a break though, but when we come back... A tidal wave of bad press for Tidal. So, is Jay-Z's new streaming service really that bad?
Experience high-fidelity music streaming.
Right across Australia, you're watching The Feed. Welcome back, this is The Feed. Now, you may have heard that there's a new Spotify-like music streaming service on the block and it comes with 12-gauge star power. It's Jay-Z's project. It's called Tidal, and it's backed by the likes of Madonna, Nicki Minaj, Chris Martin and Rihanna, just to name a few. But is it just a whole lot of hype and noise?
Just an ordinary Sunday barbie at Jay-Z and Beyonce's place. Champagne, a few laughs. Nicki Minaj, Chris Martin, and that tosser. What's his name again? Oh hey, Daft Punk's here. Just a whole lot of famous people gathering for a good cause. In fact, the most worthy cause they know.
Maybe it sounds like a cliche, but it's about putting art back into the forefront.
You said it, Mads. It does sound like a cliche. If you listen to the artists who awkwardly signed on to Jay-Z's streaming service at this press conference, that can only be described as a Year 6 Achiever Award ceremony. They are making music history. They're putting the artists in the driving seat of the music industry.
Tidal is a high-fidelity music streaming service.
Jay-Z bought Tidal in January from a Scandinavian company to go head-to-head with Spotify. It's his $56 million bet that music lovers can tell the difference between Tidal's high-fidelity music and Spotify's normal quality music.
So, can you really tell you're listening to high-definition music? Well, let's put it to the test with Bernard Zuhl, senior music writer for The Age and Fairfax. Time to take the test, Bernard.
Tidal offers itself as an artist-friendly, artist-focused alternative to other streaming services. The intention being that it will provide a higher return for artists, a greater control of product, and long-term a solution to their money diverting into record companies and other pockets.
Tidal has a test page to see if you can tell the difference between HD music or not. We'll find out later how well this respected music critic goes. Meanwhile, the backlash and hating against the artists has raged on social media.
The backlash, in one sense, was inevitable because anytime somebody says, we'd like you to pay us, when people have been scamming them, is not going to go down all that well. Secondly, when you are some of the biggest names in the industry, you are some of the wealthiest people in the industry, and you're saying, we'd like you to pay us some more money, that doesn't go down well as well.
So how do these two music streaming services stack up? Well, Tidal is about $24 a month, Spotify is $12. Tidal doesn't have a free subscription option, whereas Spotify does, but it has ads. Tidal has about 25 million songs, Spotify around 30, but Tidal has high-fidelity lossless music, something that Spotify doesn't. And there it is, Tidal's main selling point. So, can one of Australia's best music critics tell the difference between HD and non-HD music? Is it worth paying double the cost of Spotify for Tidal?
Okay, how did we go?
I'm a failure. 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. So
I'm retiring my ears.
I think you should retire as a music critic, so we can say that high-definition music is basically bullshit.
Well, we can say that for most people it's not going to be a big difference.
The theory is that down the track, more and more music will become exclusive, thus making the artists like the big bad record companies they're trying to disrupt.
Do people want exclusive content? Do they want it enough to pay more? Are they prepared to get it early, or will they be happy to get it sometime down the line? And part of the reason why there's been some skepticism about this is none of this is entirely clear just yet.
I'll take that as a comment.
I'm tired of serving black and handicapped people in my place of business, and my religion teaches that those things are sins. It also teaches that I'm to marry multiple 14-year-old wives. Where are my religious protections? Will you fight for them as well, or does my religion not count?
Mark M. Responding to news, Indiana has signed in a new law which could sanction discrimination against homosexuals. The law, which will take effect in July, will allow religious institutions, businesses and associations to refuse services to anyone whose lifestyle opposes their religious beliefs. On a lighter side, the bill has also allowed the formation of the First Church of Cannabis, which may allow members of the church to legally own and smoke the reefer. The church is currently accepting donations of $4.20. SaltLakeTribune.com.
Women want equal rights, but they don't want equal responsibility. Women should also ask men out on dates and have to deal with rejection.
James Bond, responding to recent studies that show 70% of American men between the ages of 20 and 34 are unmarried. Anti-feminist groups have blamed feminism for the decrease in marriage, believing equal rights have allowed men to shirk responsibilities and not propose. According to them, it totally has nothing to do with the recent global financial crisis and couples' inability to pay for a wedding. CNSnews.com.
And we let these clowns pass their data retention laws.
Guest. Responding to News, Australia has accidentally revealed the private information of all G20 world leaders. The passport numbers, dates of birth and visa details of 31 world leaders were forwarded by immigration officials to the organisers of a local soccer tournament. Authorities decided to not inform Obama and Putin that their personal information had been shared, but now that it's out, are blaming the breach on human error. Vice.com.
Maybe they should cut the immigration department budget, hey? And not the public broadcasters. Okay, it's time for a quick break. Back in a moment with this.
A stuffy old private school teaching kids about happiness.
It's something for every school in the country, and they would only benefit from it. So I do hope that the government will look at this more closely.
That's next. Right across Australia, you're watching The Feed.
Welcome back, this is The Feed. Last week, you might remember that we profiled 2 alternative schools, one run by author John Marsden, whose approach to education was, let's say, a little different. Here's a reminder.
What we try to achieve here is an education of the whole person by thinking about the emotional welfare of children and their social welfare, as well as their spiritual welfare and their physical fitness. We actually believe that young people should be out there getting in contact with the world at close quarters.
And this school, you're allowed to touch a stick. So
you can play Stick Wars.
Yeah, the main attractment to the school.
This is the battles of Stick Wars.
We normally just find sticks and we fight with them.
Young people need to learn to look after themselves. So if we hold their hands, metaphorically speaking, and expect them to negotiate all kinds of difficult situations, then we're kidding ourselves. The secret motto of the school is take risks, but side by side with that is the idea that you also take care. We haven't had a serious injury, we've had a few skin knuckles and a few grazes and a few tears.
Just get wax here, but really like skin. The main rule is that you don't really hit people. Yeah, you just hit their skin.
Yeah, I think the Australian school system's a very negative experience for many kids. So what we do is be very conscious of the journey towards wisdom and awareness, instead of just concentrating on the journey towards knowledge.
Stick Wars has become very popular in this office, and yet we are all terribly miserable. Tonight, though, we are going to visit a not-so-alternative school using some of the same alternative education techniques.
I think people see Geelong Grammar and they think it's a really prestigious school, it has a long history, we can be quite traditional, but yet we're taking quite an innovative approach to looking at young people's well-being.
So what is happiness?
When you want to get with friends and they come with you somewhere. Pillow fighting with my dad.
Pillow fighting with your dad.
We wanted to do something for our students to help them cope with the stresses of life.
School does come with its ups and downs. Mean people saying mean stuff. Sometimes you might think I won't get it and I'll fail.
I wonder if you can look at some and think, that one really describes my character or who I am.
That when we first introduced the science of positive psychology, we wanted to teach it explicitly, not just in our other academic programs. And how do you find time in a crowded timetable?
We're going to have some character strength conversations. Are you ready? We actually had our English and maths teachers give up some of their subject time.
We're actually going to interrupt this session with a really lovely mindful moment for us all, just to refocus.
Just big deep breath in and out.
Things like mindfulness, actually just being calm, focusing on perhaps on a mandala before you do a test. All of those things help our students take the exams, prepare with life in a more rational and reasonable way.
NAPLAN's coming up and it just helps you relax and like just be like in the flow of things.
They'd also be explicitly taught concepts like growth and fixed mindset.
A fixed mindset is where you're just like, no, I'm not going to try this, I'm just going to stop. And having a growth mindset is being like, oh, well, I'm going to try this because I may like it, but it doesn't matter if I don't, at least I've had a go.
Think about your head being a balloon, just lifting up.
And to be able to learn how to do these things at an early age so that when they have other stressors in life, they're actually really prepared for those.
You go into teaching because you want to help children make more of who they are, historically only academically, but of course now not just academically, but in all aspects of their life.
Perhaps it is a bit of an educational revolution that we're actually really considering that well-being is at the heart of the curriculum of our school, but we'd also love to see it placed at the heart of the curriculum for schools throughout Australia.
I think there is a degree of enthusiasm within the Department of Education for positive education, but I don't know at the political level whether there's the same support. It's something for every school in the country and they would only benefit from it. So I do hope that the government will look at this more closely.
That story was produced by Rani Chalier. Tomorrow night on the show, though, we're going to meet a young mum and her son, originally from the Philippines. They've been in Australia for almost a decade, but they might not be here for much longer, and the reason why might shock you.
Okay. Careful, ah. He's a cheeky little boy. He has that smile. He's very affectionate. Even though he doesn't know you personally, probably he'll approach you.
Maria and Tyrone have lived in Australia since 2007. It's hard to believe that in a matter of weeks, they could be deported back to the Philippines. Harder still is why.
What's that? Circle. He was first diagnosed, I think that was around April 2008.
Tyrone has autism.
He has learning difficulties. He's largely nonverbal and some social issues as well.
As a result, the federal government has deemed him a drain on Australia's health system and is no longer allowing them to stay in Australia.
That story tomorrow night, but let us finish on a bit of a lighter note. Yes, the good news is that April Fool's is almost over, but around the world, though, there's been a bunch of shenanigans that have gone down, so we've picked our favourites because, as you know, we don't do real news here anymore on SBS.
Google Maps added a Pac-Man mode, allowing you to cruise the virtual streets, gobbling up those tasty white dots. Totally pointless, but totally awesome. Muchos gracias, guys. In some heavy satire, The Guardian posted an article claiming that A-grade turd Jeremy Clarkson has had a change of heart, deciding to dedicate time and money to sustainable energy and road safety. Lols! Yeah, we can dream. Maybe Fred Nile will have a float in the Mardi Gras next year. Who knows? He would look tidy, though, in a G-banger. Bill Shorten announced on Facebook an Onion a Day campaign raising awareness for the health benefits of eating raw onions. And finally, if Tony Abbott hadn't received quite enough sweet burns today, Groupon auctioned a pair of his famous budgie smugglers. They were described as both freshly worn and salt-encrusted.
Gotta hope that's salt. And that is it for the show tonight. You can catch any of our stories on our website. We are back on your television tomorrow night. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.